represent those of Revive FM or its management.
Hello, good afternoon. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 with your host today, myself, Louise Power. You are locked into the Power Hour with myself and my special guest, Mariéme Jamme. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. And today is the first time I'm back in the studio actually since the lockdown last year. So it's a very special day. And I am very privileged to have in the studio with me today my special guest, Mariéme Jamme. She is the CEO and founder of iamtheCODE. Welcome to the show, Mariéme.
Thank you so much, Louise. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Brilliant. I'm just letting my technical know that the sound isn't coming through my. He's coming just to change it for me. The sound is coming out in the studio, but not on in my ear. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's it. Yes. So how are things? How's
good?
Good.
It's been very busy. It's busy Monday, so.
Yes, it's a busy Monday, and we're all trying to get back into the swing of things after, being away working from home and having all of the things happening with us in terms of, the changes of COVID and such like. But yeah, finally we're getting there. And yes, such a privilege. I'm an ambassador actually for
iamtheCODE. Yeah, you are. We're very proud to have you.
I'm proud to be part of it. We're not strangers. So if you would just introduce yourself to the listeners and just a little bit about yourself and what iamtheCODE is all about.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Louise. So my name is Lady Mariéme Jamme. I am the founder of iamtheCODE. iamtheCODE is like really one of the hottest gig in town, I will say. We are the first organization in the world to teach marginalized girls in really difficult places across the world how to code. I'm a full stack developer myself, so the whole iamtheCODE was founded based on on my story, my childhood story. For people who don't know, so I grew up in Senegal and had a very, very difficult upbringing. So I didn't go to school. So I had to teach myself literally how to code and become relevant when I came in this country. But today I spend all of my time building solutions for global companies and making sure that young women and girls who are growing up in different part of society with different norms and different places can gain digital skills. So that's what I spend my time doing. We're now in 69 countries. And so far we have taught and engaged with 27,000 girls globally.
It's just awesome. The fact that, you have a global presence and, one thing that was really, really prevalent to me was when you spoke about, you picked up slightly on your own story. And I'd like to take you back, if I may, because I've heard your incredible story before, but every time I hear it, I have those same goosebumps on my arm and I'm overwhelmed again because you've got such an incredible story. And I would just like to take you back a little bit to, where you're from and some of those disparities, of course, that you went through. And that's part of the reason why you created iamtheCODE. So it would be just lovely for the first part of the show to share that very inspirational story about your journey and your travel across to Europe.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm writing my book, so everything should be in the book very soon. So if you know anyone who can publish the book, just let me know. But we are launching the book hopefully this year, very soon. So yeah, I just, like I said, really tumultuous childhood, very, very difficult upbringing. I didn't have the chance like many girls had to have a formative education. And so my mother, she died now, but it was really tough for her to look after us when we were young, and she had to let us go and I've got a twin brother who lives in Germany today, and so we really struggled as young kids. And so when I came to the UK, so I came in Europe really when I was trafficked. So I started really reading and writing here, and I live in the southeast of England. So that's where I learned how to read and write and code. But before that, I used to do a lot of cleaning jobs, and my English wasn't good. I really had to build my life, really. I didn't have family, didn't have dad and mom and dad, all of that. So I didn't have any supporting network. So I had to, work extremely hard to make it. And then that really led me to be very passionate about the work I do today, because I'm not the only one. There are so many, women and girls out there who are suffering. If you just look at the data right now, over 132 million girls are out of school. And with COVID-19, there's just nothing we can do about this at the moment, because the world don't pay attention to those issues because it's not urgent for them. But if we want to build society in the next 10 years, 10, 20 years, we have to include young girls. So if I'm here today talking to you, it's because someone has invested in me, and that's why I'm investing in girls now.
Absolutely. And for the listeners, which part of Africa was it that you said that you was from again?
Senegal.
Yeah, Senegal. And when you came, to the UK for the first time, you had all of those barriers, not being able to speak English, having had such a difficult upbringing as well. Where did your resilience come from? How did you embed yourself into the culture here and the community here in the UK? How did you find that?
Well, I had two different cultures. I had three different cultures: the French culture, the Senegalese culture that I didn't know, but those really grow up into that until I was in France, and the UK culture, and so that was very different, very very confusing for me. I didn't really have an identity. I didn't understand anything about me being a human being and having rights, because in France it was very different, very difficult. People didn't really care much about where I came from in France, because I was just an immigrant as far as they're concerned. But when I came to the UK, I started really understanding more about human rights. And then when I used to do cleaning jobs, so I used to do a lot of working for old people's house, cleaning in big offices. My English started to get better, and when my English started to get better, I started to really understand that actually I'm a human being, I have an identity, and I started asking questions and reading and writing the first ever blog. So I was the first Black woman to write a blog, to celebrities going to Africa, just to tell them that, you've been talking about aid in Africa for a very long time, but how come I'm not seeing the progress? And so that led to many, many changes in the conversation around aid in Africa, also how do women talk, and that gave me confidence. In that time, I was also reading, getting better, coding, and I focused on that sense because I knew that if I could tell my story, but also hold the people accountable, then I think I could make a difference, and that led me to where I am today.
There are so many people doing incredible work and raising aid and raising money, but having that experience and seeing that, sometimes you think, where is it going? Because within those marginalized communities, you can't see the changes. Do you think there's a lot of work to be done on the ground with charities, really getting grassroots and making sure that the communities with which these funds are being raised for are actually, within these developing countries and within these developing communities are actually receiving the outcomes? Do you know what I mean? Because I know that is something that, is quite prevalent as well. What would you suggest that some of perhaps the charities need to be thinking about to make sure that the right support are going within these communities?
I mean, we have well-meaning people in the UK. UK is a very generous country, and we give aid to many, many countries in Africa and in Latin America and in Asia. So I think 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we didn't really have a very good model. And I still think that we are still making the same mistakes. But I think if we get government, where usually the fund goes to, and local grassroots, and get a more transparency in where the money is going, we can make a difference. So I think that the fact that we've spoken, we even made a documentary about this. You can share that with your guests and your listeners. So we created a documentary to really educate people around that aid is good, but we need to make sure that it goes to the real people, like the real projects on the ground. For example, I work with refugees all across the world, and if you just look at the African refugees where I work, the camps, they're over 31 years old, and so you ask yourself, what are we doing, a society, to leave people in intolerable situations for all of these years? If you are 31 years old today in the UK, you probably have a job, have wife, and have children.
Yeah.
But if you are living in a refugee camp, you have, basically have 1 meal a day. You count on people to help you, so your dignity and your pride is taken away. So my job is really to educate, inform, and transform people's mind and heart. So when are they giving things in a meaningful way, they can also think about who are the recipients of all of this money that is really going into West, to be honest, because the people that should be having it are not having it. And so we need to really change that.
What are some of the disparities that these women and girls are coming across? What happens? How do they end up in these refugee camps? What is happening within the globe, around the globe? Why there is so many people up to 31 in the refugee camps, and it sounds like they get stuck there and stay there for really long periods of time. I know sometimes it's war-stricken environments, and of course a lot of them are coming, they're having a lot of like gender-based violence and things like that. What are some of the systematic issues that they're coming across?
The systematic issues are, we all know them, it's war, right? So war, it's something that destroyed nations, and greed and corruption, right? So, and then these people, they didn't ask to be born in those countries. None of us, were asked to be born in those countries. But in those societies, there are norms and regulations. It's very patriarchal societies. Men usually are the leaders. And then you have a lot of egos and things going on. So, and they end up in war. And we all know that when there are wars, women and girls suffer the most, and women flee. Men are left behind, or men sometimes flee in other way and leave women behind. So, and then you have now 80 million refugees across the world. 80 is quite a lot of people. Like, they all don't have identity. They don't have birth certificate. They don't have money. They don't have food. So they are under the custody of UNHCR. And UNHCR are doing everything they can to take care of these refugees, but it's a long process. They don't have an exit plan, for them. They have to look after these people. So the girls I work with, they didn't ask to be there. Sometimes they're orphans. They've been left outside the camps, or no one took care of them. So, but if we're looking at collective compassion and looking at human beings, and as human beings, what we can do better, we can really start paying attention to other people. I think what COVID-19 has showed us, and today we can all get out and celebrate not being in a lockdown, but there are so many people who've been locked down for decades, in prisons, in refugee camps, in places of misery. And what I'm calling all the time is to look into intolerable situations. There are really, really bad situations out there. So I think we should be all grateful today that we can actually go and get fresh air.
Yeah, these are people that have been displaced from their families, from what they know. And very often as well, I think something that, I've spoken to with our team at iamtheCODE is that some of the women and girls, they all speak different languages as well, different cultures. And, there are so many holistic things that they have to come across, and like you said, sometimes completely intolerable situations. So what was the inspiration then behind starting iamtheCODE? Your own personal journey, your triumph, your own resilience? Are these some of the things that was your passion and purpose behind getting into STEM, and starting iamtheCODE?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my inspiration is definitely, everything you just mentioned, but also it's out of frustration. I just think that we are all in this society as human beings, and we need to do something about. If we can do something, we need to do it. It takes one single person sometime to do one thing, but it takes a village to raise a child, as we say in Africa. I just thought that I was frustrated in seeing misery, in seeing people having money, having connections, not helping other people, and just thinking that the whole situation will work itself out, but it won't, right? It really won't. The refugee crisis, it will not be resolved by just us sitting down and pretending that it's going to happen. The
Mm.
girls are growing up, young girls like me. I grew up, I'm now in my 40s. So, I'm nearly 50 years old actually. So, it's,
Fantastic.
we do grow up, we do grow up, young girls do grow up.
Mhm.
And so if you invest in them now, they do grow up. It doesn't take long to invest into the education of a young girl. If you are a man listening, you can support gender equality. Is for everyone. It's not just for women. We need gender parity. We need equal pay. And so I got frustrated that people were just not looking after the marginalized communities. Everyone wanted to go and work with girls in private schools or girls who are in the mainstream. But no one was thinking about this demography, that girls living in slums, girls living in favelas, girls living in the worst situation on earth. And so I just thought that there was a calling for me, and I just started working with them. And I knew that if I had, that was me basically. When I was growing up, I didn't have anyone to help me, and
Mm.
so I thought that I have the influence, I've got the power, I've got the knowledge now. So it doesn't take long to teach another person, skills. And so I just wanted to create an organization, but also create a model. So iamtheCODE is a very unique model. No one has ever done that before. And to create a model that brings everyone together, create a coalition of the willing, but create a compassion and kindness and empathy, where rather than just thinking about us as individuals and having some individualistic agendas, and think about how can we make sure that in 2030, when we all sit down celebrating the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we could proudly say, actually, we did not forget the young women and girls. We did not leave anyone behind. I'm sure we will leave people behind, but at least we can include as many people as possible.
Cool.
Because iamtheCODE, we can really do that.
So inspiring. We're going to go into a short commercial break. Please do not touch that dial. You are locked into the Power Hour on Revive FM 94.0 with my special guest, Mariéme Jamme. Please do not touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Super Best Meze Grill, the Turkish restaurant where all our food is prepared to perfection. Our mixed grill family platters include lamb shish, chicken shish, Adana kebab, lamb ribs, chicken doner, chicken wings, and lamb chops. And all are served with rice, salad, along with a selection of our cold mezes. To see our full menu, go to superbestmezegrill.co.uk. For the perfect dining setting, visit us now at 21 to 23 Broadway, Stratford, E15 4B, or call 0208 555 335. Super Best Meze Grill.
Now we're gradually coming out of lockdown. We can finally get out of the house and do some of the things we've all been missing, like meeting friends over a takeaway coffee or visiting family for a barbecue. Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. That could be your friend, relative, or even you. Help stop the spread by reducing travel and meeting outside. Let's take this next step safely. Remember, hands, face, space and fresh air.
ये आयशा है। ये बहुत छोटी सी थी जब इसके वालिद का एक हादसे में इंतकाल हो गया। वो अपनी माँ और छोटे बहन भाइयों के साथ रहती है। आयशा जैसी लाखों बच्चियां जिंदगी की बुनियादी सहूलतों से बिल्कुल महरूम है। यही वजह है कि वो स्कूल भी नहीं जा सकती। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन ने आपकी एहतियात और अपनी खिदमत दुनिया भर के यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चों के लिए वक्फ कर दी है। एक यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चे का सहारा बनिए। आज ही अतिया कीजिए।
अभी कॉल मिलाएं 0300 3030 777 या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
With over 40 years' experience in the industry, Plachette Carpets is the place to go for all your carpets, laminates, linos, and wood flooring. We have an established network of suppliers, which means we can offer some of the best prices in town. We offer free estimates, free measurements, and now even free fitting. Call us now on 0208 472 8568 or visit us at 157 Plachette Road, Upton Park, London, E13 0QZ.
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile
and online.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome back. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with your host today, myself, Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. And today in the studio, I have CEO and founder of iamtheCODE, Lady Mariéme Jamme. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Wow, just before the break, you was telling us your backstory from Senegal into Europe, and you told us, you have a twin who's based in Germany, and a little bit about that, and then, of course, coming over to the UK and integrating in society with your Senegalese culture, French culture, and then into British culture, and just how much resilience that took, and the kinds of work you was doing. One of the things I'd really like to speak to you about is when you told me about how you learnt to code in the library. That was just completely overwhelming when you told me the story about how that came about. Would you mind sharing that with our listeners, please?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't, because I didn't have a formative education. So many young people, probably in the UK, if you're here, you've been to a formative, education from 0 to 18, and so I really missed out on the boat. And that really affected me as a young girl. So, and I was traumatized as a young girl anyway. So I came from a very difficult, traumatized background. So I couldn't really read very quickly. I couldn't understand the English. I had a broken French, and sometimes the Senegalese will come, sometimes the English will come. Really, I didn't quite understand how to do it. So then I started learning English, but I could read English, but I couldn't actually understand it. I could read and memorize the text, but I couldn't understand. It took me many, many years before I understand English, what people were saying. And then I used to go to a library. So for people who don't know, when you come from a traumatized background, this is from either sexual abuse or war or physical abuse, any abuse you have, you never forget. You try to really squeeze it in and don't try to not to remember it, but there's always a photographic memory. You'll always remember that, and your resilience and your tenacity grew inside if you really push it. So my learning was my sanctuary. Just going to the library, I felt safe there. After I finished cleaning people's house, I'll take a bus for 2 hours and go there. I will just hide there and just sit down and learn encyclopedia, dictionaries, Excel, just carry on learning. And then by the time I knew it, Google wasn't born. In that time, we didn't have the Google. And then I just started, really reading, coding Excel first, and then doing HTML when Google was born. Then I start blogging because I could then see that if I write a text, it will be converted into into text. If I write a code, it could be converted into a text. And then I started like that, doing HTML and then C# and then Java and CSS, and then I carried on loving it. Then I was working from home when I became a single mother, and just carry on really working every day, doing databases and just building my skills. And within 2 years, I really learned 7 coding languages. I could then have my business and start, asking companies if I could help them sell their software, but also help them review their code, because it takes a lot of meticulous eyes to know how to code. And I started doing that. So that's led me to where I'm here today. So that's what I'm teaching again to the girls, because I know that if you follow some simple steps and processes, and focus on your learning, you'll achieve something. Learning and education is very, very expensive. Education is expensive. I was saying to yesterday someone that, it's not everyone will go to Harvard, not everyone will go to Oxford, not everyone will go to big universities. So we need to really start finding alternative education, giving people dignity and pride, and not put people in a certain box where we know they're not going to achieve much if we don't help them. So that's why I'm really focusing on giving women and girls different sort of skills that can give them money, pride, and dignity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's empowerment. It's empowering, being able to read code, being able to create code, being able to have relationship with technology is empowering because, going from not being able to speak or being confident with English to learning 7 languages in 2 years is beyond admirable. And then being able to then empower yourself to, find work, and intrinsically now teach a nation where, you're present in 69 countries across the globe is absolutely incredible. And even though for you, in some senses, it is, part and parcel of, it's something that we should all do and we should all be chipping in to do. I just think that, it is just an awesome story. And, extremely proud to know you, because I think there are a lot of people that talk about making change. We know within the social entrepreneurial sector, within the diversity sector, within the mobility sector, that there are, especially before George Floyd sadly passed away unjustly, there was a lot of things people saying that they were doing. And this is the time for impact. This is the time for outcome, where actually, organizations like yourself, where there's a presence there and things are happening. And it would be great if you can explain about the coding clubs that we have in Kakuma. I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
In Kenya, and the kinds of initiatives that go on for the young girls within those clubs, and the kind of mentoring and learning that goes on within those clubs would be great.
I mean, that's a very good point you just made. And then the whole thing started with the model, as I said. There are so many well-meaning people out there who are trying to reach out to marginalized communities. But I think this world right now, we need a global thinking. We need a more audacious and global thinking, that because the small miniature stuff doesn't help people, because the data is just so big. Whoever knows me know that I'm a data freak. I look at the data. I just look at wow, 80 million people. How come they were all displaced and asylum seekers and they couldn't do anything? But if you think about this data, it doesn't go down. And you go and ask as well, 132 million girls. We've been saying this number forever. I've been asking about this data. So I just said to myself, I will create a model. Hopefully, in 2030, this number will go down if I put all of my efforts into it. And we really created a very, very simple but very effective model. We're not a program or an initiative, but we actually is a global model that 37 companies have now backed. It's 1 million women and girls to learn how to code by 2030. I know we're going to do more than 1 million, but we just wanted to demonstrate that we can do this. And the reason why we didn't seek publicity for all of these years is because I wanted to personally think, before we blow our trumpets, let's find a way to show the impact first, and then after we can involve people. That's why we're very proud to have you as an ambassador, and we hope that boys and girls growing up where you are in London can also benefit from this program, because it's for everyone. So we start with coding classes. A girl can really learn 4 languages. At the moment, there are 10 top languages across the world that if you really want to get a job at Facebook or big companies, you have to know these languages. You can't call yourself a coder if you don't have the basic of those languages. So we make sure that within the 12 weeks program, we have girls learn about that. And then, coding is really good. Learning about technology is fantastic. But again, what are you going to be using it for? And we tell them that, okay, join the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. iamtheCODE was the first African organization recognized by the UN with a simple model. And so girls learn about topics like gender equality, corruption. They learn about climate change, the environment, the oceans, like, how many fish we eat, fruits and food systems. They learn about so many topics that, that we take for granted on a daily basis. And once they have all of this information in their head, they get very happy. And then we then connect them with mentors after the 12 weeks. They get mentors from big companies, not just to mentor them as for emotional learning or something like that, but actually they also teach mentors. It's a reverse mentoring. Also find a way to get them to be mentored, look into their project, develop solutions, and hopefully this will give them a job on internship. Because as I always said, if people don't know you, they really don't know you. So if you're not seen and heard, if you're not visible, no one will help you. So we try really to give them visibility, make sure the companies know that actually, you know what, I can't talk about diversity and inclusion in my company. I can't pretend to help communities, and I can't pretend to be all this nicey, because, we all need to embark into the Black Lives Matters movement because of George Floyd. And we have this, company guilt or white guilt that we're just going to give $10 to the company. But no, the way you can avoid death like George Floyd and racism and discrimination in this country is actually work with communities, include the boys, don't be scared of them, include the girls, listen to them, and actually give them a seat at the table. And when you do that, we can create a collective compassion community and build back better. So that's what iamtheCODE does. That's why our model is very, very simple, and we co-create and we partner with people, show them the way we do it, and then the more we multiply the effort, the energy together, we don't duplicate or replicate. We try to add value. If you have a community that where we can come in and add value, we're happy to come and work with you. For us, the more we work together, the better it is for us, because we don't want to duplicate anything. When we duplicate efforts, no one wins. It's really focused on ego. But if we join efforts and collaborate, then we can benefit more people.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I was thinking about while you were speaking is, I think there's something beyond that. Beyond that is, some of these women and girls then becoming, employable. We want organizations to iamtheCODE and employ people that are skilled and that are qualified, and really make intrinsic change within the lives of these women and girls. There are a lot of roles now that can be done virtually and remotely. And once the women and girls have these skills and they have these qualifications, they're then able to become sustainable, and also make changes within their communities as well. There's a saying, that I really love. And it says, if you get some fish, right, then we can eat together. But if you teach me how to fish, then not only can I feed myself, I can also feed my community. And what iamtheCODE is doing is iamtheCODE is giving them the fishing rod, so that they can then fish for themselves and teach others and become sustainable beyond that. So I think, any organizations that are listening to this right now or in the future, and they really have the commitment, like we said, to diversity and inclusion and to long-term change and equality and equity and everything else. It's about plugging in and using some of the resources and recruiting women and girls that are qualified within these roles from these marginalized communities, and making real long-term change to the ecosystem and to them economically as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's really important that we don't work in silo. If you have a look at it, the world, over the 100 years, we've been working alone, and we had the monopoly, people working alone, owning the whole money, 1% of really owning everything by themselves and their own friends and their own connections, and you have the 99% being left behind. So it's just because that's not right, that's not fair. And so this is why we need to change the model. We need to have models like iamtheCODE that is inclusive, but also really push people to think about the multi-stakeholder approach, where you have everyone together. This is how you can make the change. And this is my mission, is that I sit on I've been very blessed to sit in many panels and big high-level meetings, and my conversation with them is, but if you're going to build anything, who's going going to benefit from it, right? How do we make sure the people, the ordinary people who are paying their tax actually can benefit from this? And at iamtheCODE, all we do, to your analogy earlier, we give them, try to make sure they know how to make a pizza base, because then they can go in and create their own pizzas. And so if you get the more people know how to make their pizza bases, the more we can have, beautiful pizza, different onions and things like that. So we really want to make sure that people are not working silo. I'm very concerned about the hyper individualistic world we have right now, when everyone is thinking about themselves, no one is thinking about the other people. And there are a few communities in the UK where people really share and work with others, but when it comes to big companies and big government, they think about themselves first. We can see the vaccine as well. Everyone is thinking about themselves first before thinking about others, and that is not that's not a good faith. That's not humanity. That's not compassion. And you can just, when we die, we're gonna leave everything here. So better we work together now rather than just be selfish.
Absolutely, because we're creating a legacy for the future generations, right? Can't just be here thinking about today, right now, and just ourselves. Somebody made a comment about diversity and inclusion today. I had a meeting earlier, and she said something really interesting. She said, it's so right that we're inviting everybody to the table. Yeah, we're inviting everybody to this diverse table, but what about the table? What's the purpose of this table? And if this table still represents a culture and a thinking that is monopolized by white men, then if the diversity around the table is not going to be making much of a difference. So it's important to think about not just the diversity, but the purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. The purpose is really key. The purpose is so important. We need to think about, but also what iamtheCODE does, we give people purpose. Right now with this COVID-19, so many people are looking, for, for having a purpose. At iamtheCODE, we try to elevate people to realize that, for my life to change, I need to go and reach out to other people. I need to go and work with other people. I need to go visit these girls in Kakuma refugee camp, because people don't know them. They have no idea what they do. They have no idea what they eat. They have no idea who they are. But there are extraordinary people out there that you can really shout to. So I think our community is about sharing compassion and really helping people actually find a different meaning in their lives.
Absolutely. We're going to go into one more small commercial break. Please do not touch that dial. You are locked into the Power Hour on Revive FM 94.0.
मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन में आपका अतिया जिंदगी की उम्मीद आपकी मदद से मुमकिन हुआ दुनिया भर में 30 लाख से ज्यादा खवातीन, बुजुर्गों और बच्चों तक साफ पानी की फ्राहमी। मुतासरा इलाकों में हंगामी इमदाद, यतीम और बेसहारा बच्चों की दादरसी। इस साल हम आपके ताउन से और आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं। अपनी ज़कात, सदकात और खैरात के जरिए इन मंसूबों का हिस्सा बनिए। अभी कॉल कीजिए 0300 3030 777 या हमारी वेबसाइट विजिट करें www.minhajwelfare.org.
Now we're gradually coming out of lockdown. We can finally meet up again outside. But we want to do more than just meet up, don't we? Would a quick hug do any harm? Around 1 in 3 people who have COVID-19 have no symptoms and are spreading it without knowing. That could be a friend, a relative, it could even be you. It's hard, but don't get too close. Let's take this next step safely. Remember, hands, face, space and fresh air.
Nikah, talaq, counselling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
Hello and welcome back to the Power Hour on Revive FM 94.0. You're speaking to today your host, myself, Louise Power, and my special guest, Mariéme Jamme. She is the CEO and founder of iamtheCODE. Welcome back, Mariéme.
Thank you so much.
So, 2021, iamtheCODE. What are the plans? I know that we've got some exciting things in the pipeline in terms of what's going to be happening this year. We're all jumping for joy that we're starting to get our freedom back one piece at a time.
Yep.
So in the last sort of 10 minutes of the show, it would be really great if you can share with us some of our plans for this year and purpose for this year, and then perhaps anybody that we need to reach out to in terms of our strategy for 2021.
Amazing. I mean, we are just excited. iamtheCODE, and again, we are very blessed because, as you know, when COVID-19 started, I was in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya, just when the lockdown started, and been 1 year. So we now have pivoted from offline to online because I think many people will go to online. So we have created an amazing platform right now, and we're building it actually for anywhere you are in the world. You can have access to the coding content. We also have our computer kits have been updated, so any girl, any boy, you can learn how to code literally in 5 minutes. And we have just in the next couple of days, and we're launching it for the first time. We're sharing it here on your platform. We have our our virtual digital clubs will start. I know that's like everyone was asking about them, and so we're gonna have the virtual digital clubs will be launched, and then we're gonna have a global hackathon where everyone can join. So we have a lot of exciting programs until the end of the year. So please join us.
That's brilliant. And you also have the initiatives like Coursera, isn't it? Coursera online.
Coursera.
Coursera,
yeah. We have Coursera. Yeah, we have around nearly 6,000 courses that you can take at iamtheCODE for free. Yeah. And we have really amazing courses, and you can get your diplomas, and it's really good. No one has ever done that before. We sign a partnership with Coursera. It's basically normal Coursera. You can do the courses, but at the end you have to pay. But with iamtheCODE, you don't have to pay. You can just do the courses with us, and when you finish, we give you the code, and you can get your diploma for over 150 universities globally.
So, these are some of the commitments that there's fantastic organizations that are really sticking to, the agenda for change and supporting iamtheCODE in their partnerships, in their sponsorships as well. What kind of support system do you think we might, the people that we should be shouting out and looking out to for the next sort of the second half of the year? What kind of things, initiatives? We've also got mentoring as well, haven't we? We've got some mentoring initiatives as well if people want to get involved in that going forward as well.
I mean, we definitely people have really a massive opportunity to learn with iamtheCODE. Like I said, the Coursera courses are very expensive courses, but you can have them for free. Then we have the mentoring program. So if you're a young woman today in the UK, age 18 plus or even 16 plus, and you're looking for different projects and you're looking to join something that is bigger than yourself, please reach out to us. We're looking for young women and girls. I know that Louise, being our ambassador, we will be working with you to bring the computers wherever you are. So I'm hoping that we can extend that. We can extend the courtesy to all of the schools wherever you are, just to make sure that girls are learning how to code. Coding is really important. It's the future in my view, and I've been talking about this for a very long time. So we also have partners, really great companies. They really, really want to hear from you. They want to work with you. They want to, have you in their companies. As lockdown and COVID-19 is a little bit, you'll be able to go to their companies and have an internship. And so I will vouch for people so people can get a job. And if you're looking for a job, you can always come in and talk to us. We're looking to hire people as well. So we have a lot of opportunities with iamtheCODE.
In 2018, when I entered the world of tech, being a woman and being Black, it was only at that point did I realize the disparity in tech for women. I think was something like 5%. And for women that looked like me, I think it was 1.5%. I don't even know if I'm being generous. And you look around and you think, why aren't there more women in technology? What are the barriers here within within tech? And that's right across from artificial intelligence to people that work within tech companies, whether they're creating apps, whether they're, whatever side of tech that they're on. And I just felt at that point that there was poignant work to be done in terms of, raising a platform and a profile. And I know that it was during that time as well that, we connected and I became, really enthusiastic about your organization, particularly, and the work that you was doing. I wonder what some of these organizations need to be thinking about just in general in terms of, employing more women overall. There's an overarching issue here, and possibly actually COVID might have changed some of those misconceptions, because people have been forced to work from home and they've been able to balance that with childcare. And organizations now realize that people do not have to be stuck to their chair within an office 24 hours a day or 9 to 5 or 40 to 45 hours a week. It is possible for people to be productive from home, which of course gives women with caring responsibilities a little bit more of an opportunity, doesn't it? Because you've been a single parent yourself, like me, Mariéme.
No, you're right. One of the things I always say to companies that they need to really start thinking about is that, especially us, like you said, being single moms, we are always adapting. We're always learning. You become a podcaster and, a radio, doing this amazing work you're doing, you're adapting yourself. And I think one of the things we should not also do, we should not underestimate African women. We should not underestimate Black women. I think for many, many years, Black women have been misunderstood and underestimated. And then people don't invest in us, and it's really at their peril, to be honest with you. And so I think, first of all, we need to start really having respect and empathy for Black women, because we really know a lot, and we're resilient and we can adapt ourselves. If you ask me today that in the 1990s, I'll be talking to you today about all of this knowledge I've gathered, you really wouldn't, it really wouldn't be possible, because I was always wiped out by society, totally wiped out. Was like, no, this girl has no chance, she just like finished. And I think that one of the things I always say to companies, you need to really understand that, Black women and women of color in general are resilient, they're fighters. It's not because, it's just because we just hustlers. We go and make it. Like, when you give us lemons, we go and make lemonade out of it. So that's number one they really need to think about. And number two is that if you want to talk about diversity and inclusion, don't just focus on those buzzwords. For me, they are buzzwords, but really, invite people in your company. Create an environment where it's an environment where people can belong and have conversation, because Black women and women of color can really help you design your solutions, design your business. They have a variety of ideas, so bring them in. And I want them to focus on the key area of, when I help businesses and companies to really think about the future tools that we will need. For example, we will need people who can develop solutions around digital identity, for example. If you really want help refugees and people who don't have, if you look at the United Kingdom today, the census could have become an app, right? If they spoke to the right people, I could have helped them. I helped the government of Kinshasa to have a census app. It took me 3 days to build. But again, you can see that they're not talking to the right people. That's why we're having these census letters sent to us. We could have done this as an app, and everyone will do it online. So digital identity is something that they really need to think about, because these people will need to have this in the future. We need to have people need to know how to use the digital use. People need to have how to use the internet, how to use computers, how to use tools. People need to be safe. So digital safety is something that really people need to look into when they're building solutions. Digital security, cyber security is going to be one of the biggest, threat, especially in the UK and globally. You can see that today on the news that young girls are being groomed, and there's a lot of pornography, a lot of bad stuff happening because the young girls have not been taught how to be safe. At
Yes.
iamtheCODE, one of our mandatory, when you join iamtheCODE, the first 12 weeks, we always tell you have to learn how to be safe online. We developed our own digital badge, which is safety badge, so you can find anyone can actually use it. And the other thing is, I think, is digital emotional intelligence. So people need to start understanding why we're doing this all of this content being built today. You have to have empathy, self-aware, relationship management. So that is called digital emotional intelligence. And digital communication, because you need to also have your brand. What is your footprint? How people will know you. Where would you go? If you want to sell a business or sell a podcast or sell a radio show, who knows you? Why would people care? Because we need a mass communication, but how would you do that? And then the last two, the other one is digital literacy. You really need to know how to use the tools, but at the same time, how do you create content? AI, you are data. Like I am data. We are all data, and let's not make a mistake. Every single click, every single scrolling, anything you do, you are actually building a database for someone else right now. So if you don't know how to use your data effectively, you're going to be in trouble, because at one stage people will charge you for doing that. So start thinking about building solutions that are linked to cybersecurity and AI right now. And the last bit is really know your rights. As a consumer, you need to know the digital rights. You need to know, your privacy management. You need to know how intellectual property works. You need to know how, when you have your brand and all of that. So I say the companies work with us. We can give it this holistic. It's our digital wheel. We share this with people globally, and there are really, really amazing tools that you can use in your company everywhere, and bring people of color and people with different backgrounds in your company to make sure that they can share this information, because you cannot really build the brands without the voice of the minority, and you cannot build the solutions without thinking about people of color. So
thank you ever so much. I'm so sorry that the show's come to an end. I've got management kind of looking at me now. This has been brilliant. This has been wonderful. If you would like to connect with iamtheCODE, please go to iamtheCODE.org. To find out more information about how you can find out what's happening for us in 2021. We have an amazing objective to get 1 million girls coding, women and girls coding by 2030. So any support from organizations would be very much appreciated. And you can also contact Mariéme via social media platforms as well. So thank you for joining me today, Mariéme. It's been a pleasure.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you.
One of
great.
many more to come as well.
Absolutely. I'll come anytime. Anytime you call, I'll come, Louise.
My first time back. So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all my listeners. And we'll be back next week at the usual time of 4:00 on Friday. I'll be signing out now. Stay safe and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye, Louise.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Aisha. Her father